Hello and welcome to another edition of Goa 365's Assembly Audit. Now we are, I think, in the finishing off the second week of this assembly. This time at least it's an assembly which actually people can take some time off and sit with their popcorn and watch, and before it just like a T20 finishes off like it normally was for the past couple of years. So lots of issues have come up in and outside the assembly on various issues which have been faced by the state. So we have been having these discussions on a regular basis about what's happened in the assembly and around the assembly. And today, to discuss this, I have a senior panel with me, political analysts, all except Sandesh Telekar of AAP is supposed to join us, but the rest who are at this moment are political with various affiliations that I will ask, that you all can decide as time goes by. Starting off with Rajendra Kakodkar, political analyst. Rajendra, welcome to our show. Advocate Siddharth Samant, also political analyst. He is a regular on our show. Siddharth Bab, welcome to our show. And Viraj Bab Naik, also a political analyst. At least he is wearing this hat in today's show, because otherwise he's our, resident psephologist. Viraj Bab, welcome to our show. Rajan Bab, first time for you in the AAP studios. First time I think we have met, at least officially.
I have come to the studio many times.
Okay, maybe, but not in the last
4 years. 3-4 years.
So, what is it about the assembly that you have seen and liked in these past 2 weeks, so as to say?
First thing I would say, I wouldn't say this as an assembly at all.
Okay.
Any assembly should be balanced.
Okay.
We see in this 33 versus 7 out of 40.
Okay.
Which is 82% on one side and 18% on the other side. This is not an assembly for debates.
Okay.
This is a brute, what you call as majoritism.
Okay.
And that's where lies the defeat of democracy, I would say. So I would not term this as an assembly at all.
So none of the issues that have come up in the assembly you feel have any use?
Will have fruition. They may not have fruition.
Okay.
That's what I feel. See, assembly is a place where you discuss, then there is a equal. There are people, we don't care for this fellow, we don't care for that fellow. We have seen it openly being spoken. And these things are not democratic. It's a failure of democracy, I would say. So, overall, I was not expecting anything from this assembly, but to some extent, because the duration is larger, it has been somewhat in favor of people because of the longer duration, and people will be able to judge better.
Okay. Thanks, Rajan Bab. Samant Bab, you agree with this sort of a thing? I know it's direct, but at least the first comments, at least before you go on to some of the issues that have come up in this week.
As a matter of philosophy, perhaps what he says is correct. In a sense, power corrupts absolutely. That's the foundation of any democratic institution or setup. But do we have a choice? See, wishful thinking is one. There should have been 52-48 kind of seat sharing in assembly. That's one aspect. But now that we have a particular assembly, what do we do about it? Does it mean that questions relating to the governance, where government has gone wrong, people's perspective, people's interest should not be debated and deliberated? My answer is, within the limited scope also, the opposition MLAs have really raised some good points, and government also has been magnanimous enough to concede few things and have assured many times, in fact in jobs, about Penne airport, what happened, how many Goans have got jobs, then IPB investment promotion, how much land has been this. On that, there has been meaningful and fruitful discussion. So many concessions have been given by the government. Government has admitted also certain things. Then lot of projects about bad infrastructure, then where some roads are not there, about schools, clubbing of few schools, so many other things have been discussed, including wildlife. So out and out, see, I would agree with him. It's not that brute majority of any government, whether it is in Goa or at the center or anywhere. But then now that the composition is available, whether it is assembly or otherwise, has to be within the present setup. And I feel, in fact, so many, I don't want to be doing prejudice to others by not naming, but there are certain opposition MLAs who have really asked good question and had taken government to task, and in government's response have been also. So overall, if you have seen right from beginning of this government, last 5, this is the only assembly which is worth mentioning. Otherwise, it was just 4 years, hardly anything could be discussed. This assembly has been fruitful. I would give, may not be 100%, but at least 80%, 80 on 100, as far as this assembly is concerned.
I would tend to agree, but my views I will give a little later. Viraj Bab, what you feel?
I agree with both the panelists. So after a very long time, we are able to see a very long session, and it's been lively, fruitful, and a lot of issues have been discussed. At the same time, looking at the composition, like how a panelist mentioned that there are very few opposition MLAs. So my grouse with them in the last session was they were not active enough or not vociferous enough. So that has changed. So it's a very good sign for democracy and assembly in terms of the content of the assembly is concerned. So Vijay Sardesai is always vociferous and always active, but the likes of Cruz Silva, he is like soft spoken, doesn't talk much, but even he has raised some decent issues. Venzi had tried his best. Yuri has evolved into a very good speaker and has raised decent issues. Also the other in the opposition, Elton, Carlos, they have tried to contribute in this particular session. They got the time. And it's good to see. Even I would like to point out that certain ruling MLAs like Sankalp, Dr. Shetye, Dr. Devya Rane was anyways speaking even in the previous assemblies. Daji Sarkar, even Reginald to some extent have asked questions. They have got involved in the proceedings, and it's a very good sign. I feel such sessions are required, and more. Even the next session they have to give sufficient time. Don't curtail it. At the same time, like how doctor said, even the ruling has been decent enough to admit certain things. And I'm actually, to sum it up, I'm happy with the way things are going on in these first 2 weeks.
What we have realized over a period of time is that when things don't happen, when they remain under the carpet, that is a typical Indian thing I've seen, because people, it goes. But in the assembly and all, now things have started coming. Since you mentioned Dr. Divya, I was surprised she's brought up issues about electricity, Anganwadis, which are actual issues. I know she's talking about only, Satari, but these issues are there all over Goa. And a ruling MLA bringing it up, electricity, water, especially given that her husband is, I think, number 2 in this cabinet. I know others may not agree, but whatever. So, I'm just saying, in fact, I'm right. I don't agree with. See, what probably Rajan Babu is talking about, electoral politics. If you go voting, I mean, there is no chance. But bringing up issues, Rajan Babu.
I agree. I already mentioned that it is a long.
Which are the topics you think have been well brought out in this past 2 weeks?
One is Madai.
Okay.
Other is most of the environmental and what you call as land related issues, and have been brought into. Also, I find that most of the issues have been brought out, but there is something called talking and implementing. The implementing part goes haywire because of this brute majority. Talking is okay. Talking, everybody talks. There is no in that. What I am interested in the fruition of all these issues. This same thing they will talk against in the next assembly, and it will go on unless that balance is there. Balance in the assembly. If the balance in the assembly, the voices next time will be louder. Otherwise, they will be at the same this thing. This assembly, I could see only Vijay Sardesai's voice going with an appeal. Like, I have been seeing Manohar Parrikar was the only fellow who was talking with conviction. and with data and with what you call as appeal, heart appeal. Vijay Sardesai is the only person I have seen in this assembly who has appealed. Others have talked. Talking is not the big thing, but there has to be what you call as effectiveness of that talking. That's what I'm coming to. Whether that will result into something good. That's what is the question, which we'll know after 6 months.
Yeah, what I'm saying is some of the topics that we have discussed in the assembly, you feel which were relevant. Like.
Certainly. See, first of all, smart city was discussed. Now that needed to be discussed because that
needed to be discussed and recorded, not just discussed.
Correct. No, shortcomings of smart city is something that is so glaring and so obvious that it needed to be discussed, and to my extent, a fair amount of time and
a lot of time was given.
Yes, was given to it. Then Kala Academy issue was, it was discussed at length. Then there were certain questions which were raised about sports department, about renovation. That is also an important topic which was discussed. Of course, forest. In fact, there has been 100 or something wildfires. That was discussed. Yes, and not just whether builder lobby is involved or something, but what would be the preventive measures that could be taken? In what way other instrumentalities of the central government could come in? Disaster management. So many things have been discussed. And government has really given a time frame also that within this time we would be doing this. These are the things I am willing to present it on the floor of the house. White paper, everything. He said that correspondences also can be made open. So all these things, if you ask me, very nice, pertinent, important and socially relevant questions were asked, and the government also has responded positively. It doesn't look like there is some kind of a animosity, or of course it's a job of opposition to ask, but overall the march appears to be towards right way and towards progressive way, which would benefit.
The CM, I'm not so, because obviously the CM has listened to people, has given people a chance to talk. I don't know, this is what I felt.
There is one good thing which I also
so many things I have, not only Chief Minister, even the Speaker also has been absolutely literal and giving ample opportunities for others to questions and ample opportunities for even treasury branches to answer the question.
And ample opportunity even for treasury branches to take up the issues against their own.
Overall, as I said, it's a wonderful session which has happened. And I am sure it
not yet over, another 2 weeks.
It's going on, and I feel it certainly will result into good things and something good that can result out of it.
Okay, Viraj, before I get into you, this is a point that just to taking from both of them, Goa, no, in a way it is very funny, be it for Lok Sabha, be it for Assembly. Here 50% of the candidates normally lose. This is something that the figures, you bear me out or you say no, I'm wrong, but this is something that, so I think whether people show they're listening or not listening, they listen. I don't know, what do you feel? Including of the government, the people in power like BJP has changed so many candidates last time, and so many candidates who jumped also lost. What do you feel? Am I right? People in Goa listen. They may not talk openly as Rajan was saying, but they do listen.
They definitely listen. Even if you look at the representative raising issues, you have to understand that there is a certain political side to it as well.
Absolutely.
They will come up with something like a small multipurpose hall is required, a substation is required. When they put up these demands, they also have it in mind that this is come from the people. This will please the people. And you also have to understand that once the demand is raised, whether it is approved or not approved, even if it is approved, it takes some time for the implementation to happen. By that time, the term might get expired. In this case, it might not, because we are pretty early in the 5 year period. But it requires a couple of years for that actual implementation to happen. Yet, him or her raising that point is like a plus for the people, because that shows that your MLA is concerned. He is listening to the people, moving on the field, knows the requirements. So that angle is definitely there, and people do watch they might not be able to watch the entire proceedings, but certain important points are definitely taken into consideration. And like our senior panelist said, so that they have to reach the heart. So he made a statement that in Goa, to win elections, you have to reach hearts of the people. And I fully agree with him. He's very senior and he has made a fantastic point. So this is a part of reaching the hearts of the people, is what I would say.
Actually, I agree with this part, but I disagree that in other parts of India you don't have to reach the heart, because wherever you go, ultimately it is the heart and the eye. In fact, in Goa, from what surveys we have done, Viraj, I think you forget, ideology plays a less part in Goa than in other parts of the country.
I think, if you ask me, the voters will have to be characterized or divided. There are certain people for whom you will have to reach their heart. There are certain people.
I knew you would.
There are
make this.
certain people for them you will have to reach their brain, and there are certain people you will have to reach their pocket. I think. And few stomach also.
But so, point is what? Point
now
is
proportion.
wherever you go. No. My point is not that. I agree with you. My point is that throughout India it is the same.
No, what happens?
Maybe only thing maybe veg, non-veg, but it is the same.
No,
I don't think it differs.
What happens elsewhere?
Exactly.
One constituency is 3 lakh.
I agree.
See, what happens if you see Maharashtra? If a person is a MLA in Bhandara, say, he after becoming MLA shifts to Bombay and stays in Bombay. He is not in touch with them. Whereas in Goa, all MLAs are in contact almost other day.
Don't think so, but anyway.
They are there in that constituency and they are in regular contact.
That also I don't think so, but anyway.
No, even we, while doing the surveys, this is what had come to our notice, that personal connect is the most important thing. Even
the
now,
heart, anyway you
even
go.
now in Goa,
See, they deem it as if you reach the door enough, it's reached.
No. I don't.
no, in Goa,
We have done Karnataka, Maharashtra election. No. Hardly there are differences in the people voting. Hardly.
So
in fact, Goans are more forgiving than most other states. Yeah, sorry.
In Goa, if your current goes, electricity goes, you don't call the electricity department, you call your MLA. So.
We don't have contacts like you like that. I have carried to call them. Dutarba, what if, do you disagree with me? I feel people from most parts of India are the same. Okay, size of constituencies, excess may differ. But I don't think even in Goa anybody can walk into the MLA's house. I doubt it very much.
Comparatively, I think contact with your leaders and connect with the leaders is, I feel it's much more in Goa.
Smaller
direct, yes, because of the smaller number. You try to check anybody's phone numbers, you will find at least 3 numbers of ministers saved in their phone number, and they will have their personal numbers, at least 3 ministers. Whoever government is, it doesn't matter whether it's a BJP government
Which he will
or a Congress government.
That number.
Okay, so no, mine is an exception. That's
Mine, I don't have any numbers, so that's a different matter. But anyway.
He has all.
Elsewhere, it is very difficult. You may have some local worker whom you know, and courage to go and call your MLA on his cell number, or minister is something which is out of question for a common man. But that is possible, because you will see even chief minister, wherever, it might be from Panjim, or it might be from Sakri, or it might be from Margao. There will be at least 1,000 people who has a connect of the chief minister whom they can call directly on his cell, as far as Goa is concerned. But that facility is not available for anywhere, any other state. So yes, to that extent, if you say yes, I think this is the difference between. Yes.
No, I agree. See, I think if you want to compare Goa and other places, you have to just look at your ministers or MLAs and compare them with Punch and other people in other states. So here, if a minister is passing by, he'll roam in a single car with a flag. There in Maharashtra, you will have a complete convoy of vehicles with a minister. Even the punch roams with another escort. So approachability is definitely there.
Councillor roams around with security, with 10 guns. Councillor roams around with the day.
Don't tell
Sorry.
how Goan ministers,
Sorry,
they
sorry,
might start
sorry
asking for that.
Sorry to
here in
disturb
Goa
you.
also.
You are making a point.
Yeah, sorry.
No, and even here, if you look at the ministers, some of them, they use their own vehicle. They don't even use
Many of
government
them, yeah.
vehicle. So it's a good
I think
thing. It's an
Nilesh has never
excellent thing.
changed his car since he was elected. I think. It's
Yeah,
still the
yeah.
same.
He uses his own way.
Own vehicle.
Nilesh Kabral uses his own vehicle. Vijay Sardesai used to use his own vehicle. Rohan Kamte still uses his own vehicle. So there are a lot of them. So that size of the constituency is the major factor. Also, we have to understand in Goa, caste politics and ideology and the national narrative, that doesn't work. It's a more of a localized issues and policies that are more important as far as electoral.
So that means what you're trying to say is that assemblies and all are more important in a place like Goa or less important? People watch assemblies in Goa, in other states they don't watch. I mean, just to collate it to the assembly.
Watching
As an analyst, what do
yeah,
you feel?
watching and not watching is a different issue. It would be difficult to compare, but of course people are aware of what is happening. But since the size is small, it's easy to relate. I mean, you know your MLA. Maharashtra people might not know their MLA's name. So, and a lot of voting happens on the party lines.
Party
Here,
line.
it is more of a personal
Ideology.
thing. So, and you have proof for that. You have people who have got elected on one party, changed parties, got elected with an even bigger majority.
Very few.
So that happens in other places. It's started to happen now, but it's kind of difficult unless you've joined a party which is like in power and growing and sweeping polls.
Rajan Babu, you tend to agree with him?
Of course, completely.
Okay.
Goa is much different than all other states, except at Pondicherry. and those
What
small-
is different? Just the
See,
political
basically,
ideology or the...
because of the smaller size. I had done some study in 2012 election and 1999 election. I had gone around meeting people in constituencies
Where in Goa?
in Goa.
Ah.
There is something called voter and something called collective wisdom of the constituency. See what happens, each voter comes to certain perception and then interacts with nearby people, all that. And then a collective wisdom emerges towards the end. That gets tweaked by, giving money in the last 2 days. But there is a collective wisdom which emerges last 1 week. Which collective, for example, in 2012, there was a huge collective wisdom in favor of Parrikar and against Congress. But towards the last part, it changed because of money. Because the money was on the other side that time, on the Congress side. So perhaps Parrikar would have got elected a week before. It was a majority of 26 seats.
It never happened in Goa.
It never happens.
Won't
Because
happen
in the
also.
last part, these MLAs also know these things. They have a personal touch. They get a feedback that everything is going against you, then they put more money.
Okay, Rajan Babu, I tend to agree and disagree again before we are about to end this. Maybe as part of TMC, you should go to Maharashtra and Karnataka and find out if it's any different there. Because I'm telling you, it's the same. You should check it out in the next election coming in the next few years. Last closing statements about the assembly and some of the issues that you feel should happen, should not happen. Or something that we can improve. Because you have last probably 30 seconds each.
Yeah, so many other things in fact that about employments, employments to Goan. That is the this of
Yeah,
that,
I
yes,
agree
that
with
is
you.
the this. Then some sort of a audit on IPB, whether how many jobs are created, because
How
there is no
many
data.
how many commitments,
There-
clearances,
yes, and how many have
yeah.
actually come? Some sort of, because see, if there is no reconciliation, then if government may have intention or not, but people will try to misuse the machinery for their own benefit. So all those I'm totally in for good kind of establishments, organizations, companies coming here. At the same time, if they are not generating employment, jobs, and Goans are not going to be benefited, then at the end of the day, it's not.
I
Third, the tourism related the nuisance and other problems that has been created, that strictly has not been discussed till date. That needs a serious, whether it's a tout, whether it's illegal industry, whether some sort of extra.
Yeah, we are out of time. Sorry.
So I would
30
just like
seconds.
I would just like to point out a couple of things which can be avoided.
This topic we have to bring this up again. Madam.
There was a motion condemning the BBC documentary. Such things, is it required? What purpose is it serving? So we could just do away with such things, and also congratulatory motions. So those are required. We have to, congratulate people for what they've done, but keep it short and simple. So these are the two things.
Yeah,
that I
the
would like to
long
point.
discussions. Rajan Babu, 30 seconds.
All the points which have been discussed in this assembly, I would like government to make a white paper as to what they have done.
They have
Action taken report of all these things.
They have something which
Before
is
the
not-
next assembly.
They have something which is like action taken report. I think it comes. No? Yeah, there is.
I have never seen.
No, action
Yeah,
taken
there is.
report.
There is.
But it should be public. It should be
No,
widely
on website.
published in the newspapers.
It
Because
is
that's
like-
the crux of whatever has.
Many it is normally published. Anyway, yeah. So anyway, this now we are back to the live session of the assembly topics. Yes, but about this tourism part, I totally agree with Dr. We will bring it up in our subsequent thing, because ultimately land is ours. If they want to come here, they should. We should get opportunity. We should get preference. But none of the businesses, including construction, a lot of so many of these things, which is settlement and all, everything is going to non-Goans. Why? We don't need that type of business in Goan, unless some displacement has to be done, like the villagers from the tiger reserve. Then maybe for the politicians want. But I totally Goa. First employment should be for Goa. We don't want Goans going to UK. We don't want them going to France. We want them to do here. If they get good enough economic, if their stomach is full, then even politicians don't need to touch anybody's stomach and pocket. I think maybe that's one of the reasons why this is happening. Okay, anyway, thanks and keep watching Goa 365.